I wanted to talk today about critical race theory. This is the simple idea that you can view everything that happens in society and understand the whole of society through the single prismatic lens of race. Race explains everything. It explains oppressors and the oppressed. It explains exactly why people are in the position that they're in. It explains the whole of society. This is very much in the way that Marx understood the world too, except for him the group wasn't race, it was class. For him class explained everything around us, explained the victim and the oppressor classes, explained by the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, and that if you wanted to improve the world and improve the situation, then the proletariat had to rise up and overthrow the bourgeoisie. Well, critical race theory has a similar kind of approach to the world. If you see people as groups, then you don't see the individual. You see that everyone is a member of a group, and you treat groups as being the fundamental unit. One group is set against another for domination in society. One group oppresses another group within society. And if you view the world in that kind of way, particularly if it's a racial group, then you set black against white, white against black, and you form power struggles between those groups. And in that kind of way, critical race theory sets itself against some of the great people who have spoken about racial issues. It sets itself, for example, against people like Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King's most famous pronouncement was, of course, that he would want to live in a world where people were not judged by the colour of their skin, but by the content of their character. And you can see, judging people by the colour of their skin is a group view. It's a group characteristic. Everyone who has the same colour are members of the same group. But the content of your character, that's different. That is individual to you. That's an individual characteristic. And Martin Luther King was no doubt that he wanted people treated as individuals, not as members of groups. He saw the fact that if we were to treat people as members of groups, that would lead to severe problems in society and to racism and perpetuation of that. Critical race theory also sets itself against the idea of colour blindness, the idea that you treat everybody as if they didn't have any colour at all. And clearly it would set itself against that simply because it needs to maintain group identity, and group identity is done on the basis of colour. So the moment you become colourblind, you dissolve all those group boundaries when you treat people as individuals. But if you treat them in that way, then critical race theory has no basis for existence anymore. If you treat people as individuals, regardless of the colour of their skin, regardless of their race, regardless of their background, but purely on the basis of the content of their character, then all those groups dissolve away. And you don't have critical race theory anymore. That's really why I think you'll find that critical race theory sets itself against colour blindness. It sets itself against Martin Luther King. And yet, really, they offer the only true solution if you want to pull down the barriers which are dividing us. The barriers of race which divide society and are growing even stronger these days are growing so because the critical race theory is being promoted so strongly, which defines everybody in terms of their colour and their race and their background. The only way to divide people is to maintain those silos of difference and to set one against another. The way to solve that division is to begin to see that everyone, like Martin Luther King, is an individual with their own character and their own nature, and we treat people accordingly. We treat people according to who they are, not according to which group they belong to. And if we do that, then we see that all of us have far more in common than the small differences of racial characteristics that we might have different from each other. Instead, we'll find that there is a common humanity, a common decency, a common integrity, which unites us all when we treat everybody the same and treat everybody without any regard whatsoever to race or colour. That's the solution to solving these issues and problems.